The title of my study is A Multi-Phase Mixed Methods Analysis of the Efficacy of Robotics Pedagogy in an Integrated STEM Curriculum for 4th and 5th grade students. Introduction. According to the National Science Foundation, by the year 2020 there will be 1 million unfulfilled tech jobs in the United States. This is a staggering statistic, especially considering the fact that computer science jobs are some of the highest paid entry-level jobs that you can find. In fact, they discovered that only 2% of all college degrees awarded annually are in the field of computer science. Of that 2%, only 15% go to women and 8% go to students of color. This is amazing considering the fact that women hold 57% of the college degrees that are awarded each year, and yet only 12% of them are in computer science. So how do we close this gap between education and the needs of the workforce? How do we ensure that more students go into these fields? So, the purpose of this multi-phase mixed methods study is to examine the effects of participation in an integrated STEM robotics curriculum on 4th and 5th grade elementary students. There are 4 research questions in this study. The first quantitative research question is, what effects does participation in an integrated STEM curriculum based on robotics have on student achievement and interest in STEM subjects and careers? The second qualitative research question is there a difference in attitudes and experiences based on gender? Which lead to the 2 mixed methods research questions. To what extent do the quantitative and qualitative results converge? And in what ways do the attitudes and experiences of elementary students in a robotics-based STEM program help explain their achievement scores in STEM subjects? Literature review. Most of the studies in my analysis of the literature support the hypothesis that the use of robotics in the classroom leads to an increase in achievement. These results were found in both formal and informal learning experiences. Furthermore, some of the studies have shown that particular subgroups benefit even more from the use of robotics in instruction. The review also indicated that the use of robotics in instruction can lead to an increase in motivation, engagement, and self-efficacy. However, the majority of the current studies of robotics-based pedagogy are qualitative in nature and primarily attitudinal. There is definitely a lack of quantitative studies related to achievement in this field. Most of the studies in this review were limited in size and scope. Mostly they were smaller in scale and limited to one site. Finally, the articles were very limited in the types of robots that were studied. Most of the articles centered around the use of the LEGO Mindstorms robots. Methodology. The type of design used in this study is a multi-phase mixed methods design. According to Crosswell and Plano-Clark, this type of design is used to examine a problem or topic through an interaction of connected quantitative and qualitative studies that are sequentially aligned, with each new approach building on what was learned previously to address a central program objective. This type of design can include a mix of other mixed methods designs in the various phases of the study. This study will be conducted in 2 phases. The first phase will use a convergent parallel design to collect quantitative and qualitative data in roughly the same time frame. After data collection, the results will be mixed and an analysis of the data will take place. Based on the results of this phase of the study, the second explanatory qualitative phase of the study will be designed and developed. Meaningfully merging the data in the final data analysis will lead to the development of a meta-inference across the data sets. This visual diagram explains in detail the various procedures that will be used with the data analysis and data collection, as well as the products that will be produced in each of the phases, both quantitative and qualitative in this study. There are many challenges inherent to a multi-phase mixed methods design. Because the goal of this study is program evaluation and development, the researcher will need to be able to present the findings of this research in a way that will facilitate putting the findings into practice. Because this study will include both a convergent parallel design and an explanatory sequential design in the two phases of the project, the challenges that are typical of these types of designs must also be considered in this study. In the first phase, this would include dealing with different sample sizes for the quantitative and qualitative data collection portions, and also the meaningful merging of the data. While in the second phase, the major factor is time and how long it takes to implement a sequential design. I might also need to seek a second IRB approval for the second phase, especially if I'm dealing with different participants. A concurrent mixed methods design will be used in the first phase. Multiple probability sampling techniques will be used in the quantitative data collection. This will include stratified cluster sampling, first by school and STEM participation, and then stratified by gender. Quantitative data will be collected using 3 different instruments: the Performance Series Assessment Math Gains Analysis, the PAIR Common Instrument with Holistic Assessment Subscales, and the STEM District Assessment. Purposive sampling techniques to achieve representativeness will be used during the qualitative data collection, specifically extreme or deviant case sampling, which is also called the outlier sampling technique. Qualitative data will be collected from the STEM District Assessment Exam essay question, as well as photos and videos during this phase of the project. Phase 2 will be conducted using the explanatory sequential design. Again, purposive sampling to achieve representativeness will be used as the qualitative sampling technique. Specifically, the extreme or deviant case sampling technique will be used. Data will be collected using semi-structured interviews developed from the results of the first phase data analysis and student reflections. The following mixed methods legitimation types will be used in order to address the problem of integration within a mixed methods research study. Multiple validities will be used to help reduce the problem of integration. The legitimation of the overall study will be increased by employing the relevant data validity techniques for each component of the mixed methods research study. Inside-outside legitimation will be addressed through member checking and peer debriefing. Finally, I hope to be able to use commensurability legitimation by switching back and forth between the qualitative and the quantitative lens. The large sample size of 2,500 students that will be used during the quantitative performance series assessment data collection should help address the validity threat of mortality. While the fact that the test is an adaptive test will help to control for the validity threat of testing. Randomizing the question presentation during the district STEM assessment should further minimize the validity threat of testing. I will use a variety of forms of validation for the qualitative data. Bias clarification and peer debriefing will be used throughout both phases of the qualitative data collection. I have spent prolonged time in the field developing and testing this curriculum so that firsthand knowledge and expertise should lend credibility to the data. And finally, member checking and rich, thick description will be used as another means of validating the qualitative data. Thanks for watching my presentation.